Alright, here we are. My name is 711 and today is April 21st, 2013. And we are here with Brohammer. From where?
From New York.
From New York.
New York City proper.
So why don't you guys say your names, man, and what you do?
Joe Silver, singer. Andy Lewis, play guitar.
Jeff also play guitar.
Sweet. So first question would be, who came up with the name Brohammer and what does it signify?
The name actually came. It was before me. It was Nick.
It was,
I think.
Nick, our bass player, came up with the name. It was him and somebody else's project originally. There was no umlaut. Then we kind of got it together and added an umlaut and a bunch of new members. And
did he let you guys know?
It doesn't actually. No? There is no deeper meaning to the name. It was just something that stuck. You know, when I first got in the band, the name of the band was Brohammer, and it never occurred to me to try to change it to anything else.
Looks good on a shirt. It's got the H is like, you know, the flying V. So.
Yeah.
What do you guys make of it? Like, how do you take it?
I have to say it like 3 times to people usually when I'm like, well, you were band or you went Brohammer? What Brohammer? What Brohammer?
How do you spell it?
Brewhammer, yeah,
you know?
Screaming it a bunch of times.
So of course, most of the time when people hear Brewhammer, they think brew as in drink. So we just interpret it that way. We like it. Yes. Yeah, we like it.
I always interpreted it as a brother, like a Hammer brother or something like that.
No.
So it's not that.
Hammer smashed face.
Something in between brother and hammer, no?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Second question would be: does the band have a message, or it's just music?
Well, musically, the message is basically about our love of metal. I mean, we all, the one thing that kind of keeps this whole band together is our love of the, you know, of a lot of the music that we grew up with. I mean, I was very deep into metal at an early age, you know, around 13, you know, the Judas Priest, Maiden, Thin Lizzy is a big one for us. I mean, just the stuff that we thoroughly enjoy. Musically, that's where we come from, you know, so there's a lot of power metal, there's a lot of thrash, there's a lot of different elements in there. As far as the lyrics are concerned,
yes, that's the main.
Lyrically, I do most of the lyric writing, so generally I try to cover as much stuff that I think is actually, you know, important to me. So I do a lot of social, sometimes political, but mostly just a lot of social stuff. Just stuff that interests me in general. Butcher's Dozen, for instance, is actually a song about a serial killer named Herbert Mullins that actually went around and killed 13 people in unusual ways because he was convinced that if he killed people, that the volcanoes would stop happening. It just took place in California.
He was making a good point, I'd say.
It didn't work.
Have you seen a volcano since then?
Quiet, you. Anyway, but I mean, that's stuff that I find interesting, you know, stuff that I'm particularly intrigued by. So, Hate Therapy is a song about racism. Speed of Failure is basically a song about the condition of our society as it stands. Sea of Red also kind of ties into those same things as far as the things that we do to each other and how we basically glorify it in the media. You know, just a lot of different varied, but you know, it's still connected ideas dealing with stuff that I feel is relevant.
So let's get in an offshoot from that question, because you mentioned the state of the society today.
Yeah.
What do you think is the state of the society today? How do you describe it? And we don't have to be politically correct, you know. I'm all against politically correctness.
I'm fine with not being politically
Just
correct.
go with the truth, you know.
We're screwed. I think is the best way of describing it. And we're screwed in many ways because at some point we lost track of what we were actually doing as a society, the direction that we were actually going in, so far as what was important, you know, for people, as far as social programs and everything else, as far as how we basically perceive each other. And I think the media, which is the reason why I tie so much of the stuff that I do into that, gives us a pretty good window of the sorts of things that we basically are willing to tolerate. You know, you look at the glut of reality television. You look at the glut of the ridiculousness in the shows that we actually have. The things that it actually says about stereotypes in this country that we wouldn't say to each other to our face, but we're willing to tolerate because it's put in an entertainment form. It's always a question of what you're willing to tolerate that says a great deal about the society that you actually live in. We're willing to tolerate the stupid shit that goes on in reality TV and accept it as normal. We're willing to tolerate the shit that goes on in the news and accept it as normal, even when it isn't true. Even when most of the time it isn't true. it's that sort of microcosm that gives me the opportunity to kind of tell the stories that I like to tell, and sometimes just like to tell stories about, you know, the apocalypse, because that's fun. Thimblebeater is my fascination with Greek mythology, Norse mythology. I'm an idiot. Basically the events that precede the Norse Ragnarok that takes place. So, as far as the social things are concerned, it's really just about my perception of how screwed we are as a species, as well as a society, as a species as a whole, because of the lack of forward thinking that we're generally engaged in, because of the decisions that we're constantly cycling in that completely screw us. And it's not just the fact that we're being selfish in the process of doing that. You sort of expect that. But it's more the fact that the selfishness makes you extraordinarily myopic when it comes to just your needs over the needs as a whole. And as a person you can do that, as a nation you can't. Mm-hmm. And we're more and more getting to the point where we're splitting, we're dividing ourselves, we're screwing ourselves over that way. And musically, that's where I like to tie into the first track that we usually do when we're actually performing, Fahrenheit, deals with the idea of book burning. That's a perfect example of myopia. You're simply trying to destroy something because it doesn't fit your view, be it religious, political, or whatever. And there is nothing justified about it. There's nothing right there. It's all a notion of people trying to find ways of controlling other people, which of course we're completely against. So.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
I like that.
We also like beer.
If we hadn't mentioned previously, we're also fans of beer.
That's great, man.
But
alright, so I don't know, I asked this Mr. Paul Spackman too. Do you think we live in the end times, or are we close to some kind of spiritual awakening?
As an atheist,
or it's just gonna continue like this?
As an atheist, I find that hard to accept. My problem with the notion of apocalypses in general, as fun as they are to write about,
self-fulfilling prophecies, man.
Yeah, the problem with that is that we have two misconceptions here. The first is that we imagine, as humans, that we're going to be responsible for the destruction of the world. This is silly. The planet was around long before we came into existence. We're a smoke. We're a small smidgen of what has actually happened in the course of Earth's history. I mean, barely being around for perhaps between 100,000 and 200,000 years. So, if nuclear Armageddon comes, if we manage to do something that completely destroys our societies, we're not destroying the world, we're simply destroying us. And once that's done, whatever ends up basically evolving after us is what's actually going to be here. So, is it possible that we'll screw ourselves anytime soon? Sure, it's possible. Do I think it's likely? I think the sense for self-preservation is too great for us to quite jump into that. It's that you'll see people that are constantly, holding a weapon that they think is going to kill everybody, going, "I got this, I'm going to do it," but nobody ever does it. We've managed to only drop a bomb twice that everybody was convinced was going to basically kill everyone, and we basically held that as basically a weapon to keep people in line ever since. This is all about control. It's not about Armageddon. It's about the threat of it. It's about what we can do to keep people in line because of what might happen. It's what other countries with nuclear weapons are attempting to do. So I don't see spiritual revelation or any of those other aspects kind of fitting into it. This is all human. This is all us screwing ourselves over in unique and fascinating ways. That's what it boils down to. George Carlin liked to refer to it as the freak show. When you get born, you get a ticket to the freak show. When you live in this country, you get a front row seat. And I think that is largely true in the sense of how we treat each other and how we perceive threats. 9/11 being a perfect example of that. Just the extremes that we're willing to go to for the illusion of safety, the extremes that we're willing to go to provide ourselves a sense of security, even when that security is completely illusory.